without further ado, please join me in welcoming the Vice President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, I'm Joe Biden's husband. On every community college campus in America, that's how I am known. Congressman Garcia, I've got to tell you, I've never been with so many presidents since I stood in the Oval Office with Presidents Clinton, Bush, Carter, and Obama. I tell you what, you're just a hell of a great presidents. Everywhere I turn, and I have the president of George Mason University here as well. I just want to thank you all. President George Mason and I were sitting next to one another, and he said exactly what I was thinking. He said, man, I love the enthusiasm in this hall. Well, not much going on today, is there? I want to say to the husbands, wives, moms, dads, children of all the graduates here today, congratulations. They say in Southern Delaware, you've done good with this bunch. And you're very gracious. When I was in school, you only had to wait 20 minutes even for a full professor. I was a half an hour late. There were headwinds coming down, and they were not political headwinds. There were actual headwinds that slowed up Air Force 2 by a half an hour, and I'm truly sorry to keep you waiting on this day, class of 2014. What an incredible group of people you are. Look, I don't know anyone who could fail to be moved by the display of the flags or the pride on display here in this auditorium. You know, the history of the journey of this country, in my view, has been a constant parade of flags. From Native Americans inhabiting these shores to flags of early European settlers and our ancestral memories of African slaves. To this has been added 200 years of that parade that continues to this day, of flags of immigrants drawn by the central promise of the United States of America. The promise that in America, anything is possible in America. That America you see here today in the sharp relief of this amazing class of 2014. You should all be so proud. You know, I've traveled about 900,000 miles since becoming Vice President. I traveled an awful lot around the world when I was Chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. As a matter of fact, of all the flags that went by, there were only 2 countries whose I have not been in and multiple times. And you learn an awful lot as you travel around the world. And I recently was 4 or 5 trips ago, 5 months ago, in Singapore. And I met with one of the wisest, most fascinating men in the world, who every world leader I know of has sought his audience, the former president of Singapore. His name is Lee Kuan Yew. He's referred to as the Henry Kissinger of the Orient. He's now 92 years old and very frail, but he is incisive. He has spoken extensively and written extensively on what he thinks the futures of India, Russia, China, and the United States are. And when I was there last July, I stopped to see him, and we talked about many things. But his incisive mind, he speaks perfect English. And I sat there, and midway through our conversation on foreign policy, I looked at him and said, Mr. President, what are the Chinese doing now? Because that was the purpose of my trip, and I was meeting with President Xi in China. He looked at me and he said something very perplexing to me. He said, China is in America looking for that buried black box. And I looked at him kind of like you're looking at me. Like, what are you talking about? I said, Mr. President, the black box, this is absolutely true story. And he said, yes, the box that contains the secrets as to why the United States of America is the only country in the world able to consistently remake itself and readjust itself to maintain world leadership. And I looked at it. This is an absolutely true story. I looked at him and I said, Mr. President, I think I can tell you what's in that black box. There are two things. The first thing in that black box is a lack of reverence for orthodoxy, a refusal to accept conventional wisdom. It's stamped into the DNA of America. From grade school on, we're encouraged to challenge basic assumptions. No child is criticized for challenging orthodoxy. That's why we're the most innovative country in the world, because you cannot make major change without challenging basic premises. You cannot make major change without challenging orthodoxy. The second thing in that box, I said, Mr. President, is a constant, substantial stream of new immigrants. From our founding fathers on, that has been the case over the last 200 years. The immigrant community represents something special we never talk about. We'll do that too, kid, but let me finish my speech. Now look, here's the deal. When you think about it, the reason why America is so strong all these years is this incredible flow of immigrants. And why? Because it takes something incredibly special. It takes the best of another country for a person one day to say, get up and say, you know, I'm going to leave everything I know. I'm going to have to go to a country where I don't speak the language in most all instances. And I am going to do it. That takes courage. That's a self-selection process that is generated for us the best the world has to offer. That is the secret of America. And you graduating, those of you graduating today, you're a remarkable group. You have had the courage, the gumption, the intellectual curiosity to step forward, to go back in many cases and get your degree. Many of you are immigrants like Fernanda Chow, who grew up in Honduras, dreaming of a career of medicine. She's going to continue her education after she receives her degree today, so that she can gain additional knowledge that will help her, as she says, help design the next generation of prosthesis limbs for some of those tens of thousands of people coming home so badly injured. Many of you are children of immigrants, like Wendy Ruiz, daughter of Mexican farm workers. She is chosen for the select the Latin Leadership Initiative of Harvard University. And many of you are the grandchildren of immigrants, like Pedro Rivera, a combat veteran who served us in Kuwait and Iraq in both the Army and the Navy. Pedro is one of 38 veterans in this class. All the veterans in this class, please stand up so we can thank you for your service. With their cap and gown. And we owe some of you will join the many Miami-Dade college graduates who are among the most effective teachers in the Miami-Dade school system. Many of you will continue your education at other institutions like Syracuse, Harvard, UNC, Chapel Hill, Florida International, the University of Miami, and many others. And a whole bunch of you are about to take those finely tuned skills you've learned here in Miami-Dade County and enter advanced fields, particularly in aviation. You know, it was mentioned earlier that my wife Jill is a community college professor and has been for some time. She knows you well, and I've learned to know all of you. She hasn't met you individually, but she knows you. Your average age is 26. You know what it means to work hard. 2/3 of you are part-time students. We're part-time students. Some of you are moms juggling kids and jobs while you learn. Some of you are workers who have gone as far as you could in the jobs you had, and you're getting the skills you need to go to the next level. Some of you are in your 40s and 50s, but you're getting a second chance at a career that you deserve and work so hard for. And some of you, as we learned on stage, they're straight out of high school. Matter of fact, didn't even go to high school all the way. Getting ready to take your place in the world. And many of you have overcome difficult circumstances at community college all over America. More than half of you speak a language other than English at home. But all of you speak the language of America. The language of courage, determination, and success. And you made the right decision because you're graduating into an era of immense change and possibilities for this great country. You know, your generation, you graduates, are going to graduate into a world of change different than any of us graduated. More change is going to take place in the next 20 years than has taken place in the last 100 years. America is on the cusp of so many innovations that will change the world, and you're going to be part of them. Right now, we're developing prosthetic limbs so finely tuned that you'll be able to restore the ability to play a piano, climb mountains. And within your lifetime, we're going to actually be able to regenerate limbs and organs and tissues using technologies like 3D printers. Within your lifetime, we will map the most uncharted territory on Earth, the human brain, which will help unlock the secrets of Alzheimer's and bring us closer to the causes and cures for mental illness. It will fundamentally alter the way of life for tens of millions of people, both at home and around the world, who are so many suffering in silence. And in the near term, we'll be able to engineer your white blood cells to attack cancer tumors and leave healthy cells untouched. That's all going to happen. Within your lifetime, we will break the genetic code on different forms of cancer so researchers can find cures. Ladies and gentlemen, within your lifetime, cars will travel 300 miles and fill up on electrons instead of gas. Florida to Sunshine State will power every home with solar energy that will be cheaper than oil and gas. By the way, this is not hyperbole. This is going to happen. This is what's about to happen if we continue to believe in ourselves and invest our energies in research and development. We will develop advanced materials that are stronger than steel at a fraction of the weight, to use in cars, trucks, buildings, bringing technology of the Mars rover to your driveway. Microbes and nanotechnology will lower the cost and time required to clean waste by 50%. We'll have real-time speech translation, allowing anyone to talk with anyone in any language at any time. You'll see more change, as I said, in the next 20 to 30 years than has occurred in the last 100 years. So you did the right thing going back. You did the right thing continuing on. But in order to maintain its edge and world leadership, the United States has to continue on the path of immigration we followed for the past 200 years. And that's why we have to act to take 11 million people out of the shadows on our path to citizenship. For these people are already Americans. I get criticized for saying that, but ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Roosevelt said it best well over 100 years ago. He said, Americanism is not a question of birthplace or creed or a line of descent. It's a question of principles, idealism, and character. And these 11 million people have demonstrated that. And as is so often the case, it's the morally right thing to do, but it's also the overwhelming best thing to do in the interest of the country. Immigration reform will also increase the gross domestic product by 5.4%. That's $1.4 trillion over the next 20 years. It will reduce the deficit by nearly $1 trillion, $850 billion. $300 billion will be added to the Social Security Fund over the next 10 years. Social Security solvency will be advanced by 2 years. So much for all the scare tactics about how this is going to ruin the Social Security system. It's going to cost us so much money. And one other important thing, the American people agree. 73% of Democrats and 60% of Republicans said, act now and take these people out of the shadow. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get done what an overwhelming majority of American people want to do. And we got some good news yesterday in Tallahassee. Dreamers in Florida can now pay state instant loans. So folks, the point I'm trying to make, we're at the tip of a spear. Things are changing for the better. Things are changing, and it will change overwhelmingly. Let me conclude by saying, continue. Please continue to pursue your dreams. It's the only way you're going to stay young. One of the world's great Latin American writers, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, he said, it's not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. They grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams. Whether you are an 18-year-old prodigy or you're a 60-year-old graduate, you've never stopped pursuing your dreams. And I know, because of what you and your families have accomplished so far, you never will. Ladies and gentlemen, all I have to say to you today, because I know from experience of giving commencement speeches, the parents and loved ones want to hear something significant. You want to get the hell out of here. Let me just say, congratulations to a truly, truly remarkable group of men and women graduating the class of 2014.
Vice President Biden, thank you for your very meaningful and inspirational message. We are very proud that you are here at Miami-Dade College today to celebrate our graduates.